A certain level of practice is letting go of desires and the will to do anything. Everything is just dropped, released in that moment. Some say that radical, complete letting go is nirvana. And coming to rest. So when people suffer enough, go through enough darkness and pain and struggle, suffering, we call it, generally speaking, suffering, and are oppressed and completely distressed by the so-called self-doing, and the problems they create, or create with others, then there has to be a, say, cognition that is it possible to get beyond that? Suffering. First there is suffering. And you have to assume responsibility for doing something with that suffering, otherwise you remain in the condition of suffering. How do you eliminate that state of suffering? Of self-suffering. That becomes a consideration of power. And that's based upon an intuition that you know there is no suffering ultimately. And in this particular, let's say, cognition or recognition or perception, there's an enlightenment, say, happening. And that implies a creating of space beyond the neuroses of the search and suffering. That enables you to withstand the quietness that is present. And it is this foundational and truly present and powerful quietness underneath all of the karma and all of the drama of self-existence that is the practice. Beginner's practice in cessation, processing, and recognition of the non-existence of suffering. Emptiness. So we have all the planes, the physical, the astral, the causal, all of these are dimensions of functioning relative to operations that have to do with the body, and emotions and memories, all from their respective areas and levels of consciousness. Go on to the mental plane, just mind in an unenlightened view. And then there's the etheric body, the subtler body, subtler than thought, right? Some would call it the will mind or the command mind. The director of the movie, of self. And each of these seems to be an effect of karmic conditioning and culturing. But as we get to, let's say, the etheric mind, or the higher mental mind, the subtle mind, seeing through things, seeing sources, seeing processes, and so well that the earlier or more material dimensions fade away. You start to enter what is called in the soul plane of just being. No mind. Clear mind. See? Gone mind, just aware. And that's like abiding in that, restfully, finding your peace, establishing that as your reality, your true, and from there conduct your business in the presence of true or no mind, in the form of suffering, just clear, open, radiant mind. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Talking about the wisdom tree, the capability and the access to ancestors and spirits and potential and all that. I mean, the question is how can we make that more real?
Remember the super subtle mind. You can remember your highest image. That could be of a meditating master, exuding rays of peace, light, love, and beauty. Radiating, beaming even, from the head, radiating it. Because then you're not looking at somebody, you're really seeing yourself. And so then it's important to have the image, which is a function of the etheric mind. Have some kind of image that is powerful to you, that is beyond your, let's say, imagery of suffering. Your imagery of concern, your imagery of seeking, and not being itself. Mm-hmm. So then the image of being, tree de grace is very important for the purpose of opening to the consciousness, which is that thing, which is what it is. It is the isness of it. But not just the isness of a rock, so isness of the material plane, particularly, and it is the isness of all-knowingness, emptiness. And then you have to dwell on that. You need to know what that is by staying with it and letting it reveal itself to you as real. If you had the patience to do that, just one point taken to a more extended moment of, let's say, consideration and absorption. And then that becomes a process of, let's say, deep meditation and going beyond yourself, going beyond your condition, going beyond your body, and you're in the consciousness, of what the image is. Maybe it's the image of no image. And we're talking then about moving into lightness, space and awareness of it, as conscious.
Is the practice seeing and hearing more deeply than normally?
We have to see beyond seeing and hear beyond hearing, and that would be more the practice. We also have to be beyond being and breathe beyond breathing. This is also the practice. In other words, we are at a certain stage brought to recognize the emptiness of everything and everyone, every thought, every feeling, every memory, every impulse, and every body, the emptiness of the whole thing. And enter the sublime presence of spontaneous being, here and now. How can you do that?
Why did you write the book, The Divine Agreement, that explores the bodies?
Was asked to write on bodies, right, and the dimensions, if there were any, and these are the general, universally acknowledged basic dimensions of the physical, the emotional, the causal, the lower mental, higher mental, etheric, and soul, transcendent body, beyond that. So they're infinite bodies. But we generalize it and make it a bit more accessible. We don't just say infinite bodies. It helps no one. At least you can talk about your physical body. You know what that is. So you can quantify that and experience that because you know that. You have to use your body to do anything and everything. See? You have emotions, so that's not too vague. We're emotional beings. So you start to recognize and maybe focus on emotions, and negative emotions especially, to try to unravel their programming, their source, their causes, and so on, straight up the line, straight up the ladder, to thought and subtle thought and unconscious thought, reactions. All of this is part of the science of knowing oneself as the subtle bodies, of feeling and thinking and seeing and hearing beyond such ideas.
Yeah.
And as soon as you hear that, you're already taken to that place of being here now, which is where you need to practice from. Not what you don't know, but what you can know about being here now. And the beauty and the benefit and the wonder of peace and beingness itself. Tree to grass, stopping, and seeing, stopping, and hearing, stopping and knowing, stopping and being, and then stopping, and just being here. See, abiding in peace. Enter the potential of great and profound healing.
Are there any meditations that you would recommend in conjunction with engaging with the Divine Agreement?
Reading it is a meditation. Consideration, at the least, of the fact of subtle bodies. You have to prove that to yourself. That you are basically a body of action, a body of feelings and emotions, a body of memories, past, present, and future memories. See? A body of thoughts, body of the unconscious, a body of the conscious mind and thought, and also the body of the superconscious. So I'd recommend dwelling on the superconscious, and taking the express to that place as quickly as possible, right? Mm-hmm. See, most beings can acknowledge that they know, and because they know, they don't know too. They know, they don't know. And there's a lot they don't know. See? But beyond that, doubt, the lot that they don't know or haven't experienced yet or haven't seen or heard or known yet, they know. There is knowingness. See? Our presence is a living knowingness. See? We are that knowingness. So we are the known and the unknown as one. Knowing the unknown, knowing the unknowable is a very, very delicious paradox. And you know, there's something in everyone that actually knows. See? And it knows beyond knowing, see? Which is the beauty of it. Not to be proven by anyone but yourself. See? Therefore it is said that the Christ impulse is in everyone, and the Buddha nature is in everyone. And here amongst the musicians, the Hyuda nature is in everyone. Right? Realization by ear, see? Not just by sight and seeing through teachings, see? Or association. See? But knowingness. Since we are controlled by time, then it seems that we're not in the right time where we actually know. We don't know to know. We do know. But casting time aside, we are in the knowingness beyond knowing, which is paradox. It's also a peaceful condition. It's the truth that you are at peace in this moment. And if you're at peace in this moment, you're always at peace in this moment. But you need to know what that is, and prove that to yourself. That you are beyond your neuroses, even beneath your neuroses relative to the earth, and above your neuroses relative to the universe, of infinite space and infinite creation. And we are the source of that. As the in-between, we are the source of it. Earth to sun, we are the source. We need to be in touch with that part of us that is conscious as the source itself. Not by thinking. It's not even by egoic knowing or self-assertion. It's just presence. There's nothing else. See, in each one there is the cessation, or stopping, and letting go. We do it every night as we go into the deep. We experience something like death and super unconscious. Similarly, we can experience something like super consciousness. How many beings want to experience, desire, or crave super consciousness? Not that craving is the way to it. Or willing, right? But there may be the potential of a connection if there is a craving or willing or desire for enlightenment. Because the thought can awaken the unconscious to the conscious and enlightenment at the same time. What would you do if you awakened into enlightenment? Who would you be? What would you eat? What would you think? So we are in the doing, but then we are also in the no doing. Enlightenment, whatever that is, as a state of openness or compassion, emptiness, as I said, it's doing, not doing. So it's the no doing of doing. Mhm. Mhm. Paradox, but law. Mhm. Mhm. Point of view, but true.